see this. I gotta see this video. Apparently, gooning is a problem, but apparently China is going to solve the gooning epidemic. So all you people who are gooning and everything like that, well, apparently, China's gonna solve it. I'm very curious what that means, actually.
So this particular topic of China trying to ban gooning, because that's essentially what they're doing, has been popping up as of late. We saw this article says China to regulate CEO romance microdramas.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, it's just ridiculous. Warns against content promoting materialism, flaunting of wealth, and it's where China can't like, okay, all you women, you're delusional.
I don't know about that, man.
You think that you're a poor girl, and some guy is just gonna come and whisk you away, who's a multi-millionaire, and bang your freaking back out so you can't walk. And everything's gonna be okay, and he's never gonna want any other woman aside from you ever again.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
I understand the reason to quell the delusion, but at the same time, I don't think that this is going to quell the delusion, because the fact that these dramas do well in the first place means there's a market for it and people want it and people were already living out these fantasies regardless. It's recently come back into the conversation. Of course, China bans everything. Mind you, China also banned porn, you know, like they've banned spicy content.
Wait, China has banned dramas where rich CEOs and billionaires fall in love with the poor girls? They said such dramas were ruining the minds of girls and making them expect a rich man? God, Jesus Christ. China's cooked.
So for the women and the men, you can't get any escapism. No way. You are not allowed to enjoy yourselves and to escape into a fantasy realm. So it's not just the dudes. It's not just the women that are getting their stuff back. It's the men too. It's the men. As a matter of fact, spicy content for China has been cracked down on from 2004, probably even earlier than that. In 2005, it says authorities sentenced its 11 workers they were talking about operating this online strip club. And it sentenced these people to imprisonment, I can't speak today, ranging from 3 to 12 years for disseminating the obscene material. And in 2006, they closed down Erotica June Day and sentenced the founder, Chen Hui, to life imprisonment. And unless he was taking like young people, you know what I'm saying? Like minors and stuff like that, I didn't really understand like why he would require life? Life, really? Life. Damn. That's crazy. Their whole idea for doing this, as said here, is that the government, the Chinese government, who we all know they know best for everyone, don't they, thinks that spicy content is harmful and it severely harms the physical and mental health of minors and seriously corrupts social ethos. Now, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I understand the intent behind these policies and the reason why they're doing it in the first place.
If you get addicted to it.
Because they're trying to promote healthy values. And one of the ways they do that is to reduce materialism and all of these unrealistic expectations in the ideas that they're protecting the youth or the children from harmful influences. However, and I get where they're coming from, but we've seen what happened with prohibition, all these other things every time they try to do this. From a psychological perspective, suppressing natural human desires for escapism or romance or sexuality or whatever through these heavy bans and severe censorship from the government, it usually doesn't eliminate those desires. As if you notice, these things still happen. As a matter of fact, it often represses society even worse and creates a bigger problem. Notice how priests, you know what I mean? Like, they still end up doing the worst things that you could do in terms of spiciness. I have to be very careful how I word things on YouTube so that people can actually see the video.
Ugh, don't remind me. I got 2 videos I got flagged or so for age appropriation. One of them was the Bonnie Blue one, and the other one was the plastic surgery girl who ended their life or so. But the Bonnie Blue one, right? Literally straight up, there was nothing sexual in that one specific segment of the video, and I got flagged for adult content, which makes no sense.
but you know what I mean. Like, where otherwise these men would probably be like, oh, I'm gonna go out and go find a nice girl or whatever. Now they're so repressed that they're like, oh my God, I gotta take where I can get it. And sometimes it ends up being the meal before the ingredients are properly arranged, if you know what I mean. And it creates this very repressed and dysfunctional society in very subtle ways. So Sigmund Freud actually had an early theory of repression that argued that pushing instinctive drives like aspirational urges or hanky-panky urges into the unconscious leads to neurosis and anxiety or outbursts, and modern psychology echoes this less dramatically, and it creates this cognitive dissonance. This means that people are still gonna feel them feelings. They're still gonna have those desires, but they learn to hide them, or they feel ashamed about them, or what have you. And in societies with these strict norms, this manifests as guilt around normal fantasies that they would have. They have poor body image. They have more difficulty with intimate relationships. They don't even know how to talk to each other, because now you're basically telling society, hey, sex is bad, right? You know, you wanting a man that can provide for you is bad, right? If you're a guy, you being attracted to a younger woman who's pretty, that's bad. Like, I understand why they're doing this, but this never worked. And if you already banned spicy content for such a long time, and you're still having an uptick of men going out there and forcing themselves on women, maybe what you're doing isn't working. If you've banned it for this long and you're still having issues with people procreating, maybe what you did not work. Like I said, people putting bans on things, people find ways around them. True. And it's usually the bad actors that will go the extra mile and make things worse for everybody else. And it's a part of the human black market for social media. You could say that is part of the problem, the instant gratification thing. But banning that, banning the escapism or banning the fantasies or media doesn't take care of the issue. The issue's already there. You're just telling people to shut their eyes and pretend they're not feeling what they're feeling. That's essentially what you're doing. As for the billionaire CEO romances, banning these Cinderella-style stories, it's not gonna stop people from dreaming of a better life. Here's the thing that people don't understand.
Yeah, but like, okay, like the counteract of that or so is like the dating scene in China it's pretty bad, right? I assume it's pretty bad, right? If a lot of the women think that like, oh, some millionaire is going to take me away, some hot, you know, beautiful man who's a millionaire or a billionaire is going to take me away and everything, and blah 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 blah. I was to gather wise, find myself a sugar mommy. China can't stop me. Yeah, at the moment it's kind of as bad as the Western dating. Okay, so yeah, so it's not okay. So like that's probably the reason why, you know, they're trying to set the girls' expectations back to reality, you know? It's like these girls are kind of like are going a little bit crazy.
And we talk about this in America all the time with escapism and people constantly pushing politics and all this stuff down the throats of people who are trying to consume just regular escapism, sci-fi, stuff that, yes, has politics in it. Everything does have a sense of politics in it, but it's within universe. It's something that you can forget about your own world and disassociate from your own world to feel as though your mind is resting from all the stress of life that you have to see bombarding you every day. That's why it's called fantasy, right? Escapism is not bad. It's a healthy coping mechanism. Fantasy media, whether that be spicy content or billionaire romances or whatever,
I don't know what the game is.
Basically provides a safe escapism from these daily stresses. Like some of those stresses is economic pressure, or loneliness, or being oppressed by your damn government telling you what you can and cannot watch. I know for myself, writing my stories and also reading other stories, I feel like that's my version of escapism. That is a hobby for me. I love doing that. And writing stories for me also allowing other people to read them and giving them that bout of escapism, especially when, you know, they tell you, well, that I enjoyed this, I'm getting lost in the story, I'm going through a difficult time, and this story helped me just to calm down or whatever. It doesn't have to be my story. It could be a million different stories out there. Watching other people's videos, it doesn't matter what it is, just a little bit of escapism helps people to be able to cope a little bit better. You can't sleep all the time, so if you're able to listen to something, like when I was at work, when I had to deal with people and I was working retail, I used to have like a little tiny Bluetooth in my ears, and I would be able to listen to stories or whatnot, and that helped me get by, because like dealing with people for many, many hours, back-to-back days, that was really grueling on me personally. So being able to escape through listening to an audiobook or something, you have no idea how that kept me sane. You
want to know something? When I used to work in retail places, we didn't had anything like that when we had to talk to people daily, you know, every single day, and had stupid questions be asked. We didn't had anything like that.
Me sane. It kept me in a good mood to deal with people, and of course I liked making the customers happy, so that did help. Imagine you were pressed by a government telling you can't have this and you can't have that and you can't have this, that, and the third. Men, you can't have this, that, and the third. You lonely men out there who will never find a girlfriend or whatever, women out there will never find a boyfriend, or maybe you're in a relationship that you're just going along the motions to. You can't even look at a woman. No escape whatsoever. Deal with it. We get to do it. The wealthy government people get to do it because they decide what's censored and not. You think they're not using it? But the citizens aren't allowed to use it. And so you ban all these things, and now you have frustration because there's no way out. And I'm not saying this excuses men from going out there and doing awful things, but when you do allow there to be an option to kind of mute those urges, does help. Unless you're gonna put every single person into sports or into the military. And for women, honestly, if they're like, man, I can't have a wealthy CEO, whatever, but I can pretend, I can go to a fantasy world where I can live vicariously through someone else, and after I'm done reading, I come back to my life. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, but the problem is 9 times out of 10, those people don't come back to reality when they go for this escapism, you know? 9 times out of 10, they don't come back to reality because they think that will actually happen to them, you know? They think some hot guy is gonna. It's like same thing for like those women or so that are into like what, the 6 feet tall guy with a 6-pack and 6K figure or something like that, or 600K figure or whatever. I don't fucking know, to be honest. Whatever. But like it's literally that specific mindset. It's just a, like, I guess you could say China version of it, you know, where they think like, you know, yeah, the delulu, yeah. Women love the number 6. Yeah, I guess so. I guess they do, man. You know, they are part of the deadly sins at the end of the day. There's some sin stuff right there, you know? But honestly, it's just their term of like, their version of it is like, because like some of them take it too literal. And even then the dating scene in China is pretty bad, because uncle over here says that it is. And he has the proof or so, you know?
It's not so bad.
And I've seen videos on it too as well, how bad the dating scene is.
That's a fantasy of something I would like. Just like the guy's fantasy is having
it pops up every so often on my feed from time to time.
On the face of the earth that has 0 bodies whatsoever, and you're the first man she's ever met. She doesn't want any other man after you, and it doesn't matter if you have no money, she still wants you. Like, I mean, come on. Like, we all understand that the problem here is not the media, it's people's perceptions and how it's being shaped. Yeah. And that's not gonna be fixed by banning the media that's out there.
Okay,
how you fix that is how you raise your children. Yes, they shouldn't be watching certain things, but why does all of the responsibility fall off of the shoulders of the parents and the education system when it comes to raising children? Why is it that people like me and even people a little younger can go out there and understand that what they watch on TV doesn't reflect reality, but there are other people out there who their parents raise them on iPads and don't discipline them whatsoever? They don't understand that them looking at a video game like the one you see here is not real. And just because a guy can do a helicopter chop move with his dick and your head falls off from 5 miles away in the game doesn't mean it happens in real life. I don't know why I use that example. That's what just fell off the top of my head. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't think this whole thing is gonna work out with China. And it creates this forbidden fruit effect and underground.
Don't underestimate China, honey. Honey, do not underestimate China when they put some regulations in.
Culture. So now people are gonna be like, oh my god, you're banning it. Now I want it even more. Now I can't even get it through
of course there'll be a black market
with the escapism. So I'm just gonna go out there and get frustrated and take it from someone. That's how that shit happens. Then you have posts like this one that honestly, some of these posts on Twitter feel like they were paid by China or something. This post says, girls in China have become so delulu that their government has had to step in. Specifically, the government of China is stepping in to regulate TV dramas to help curb the delusion of young women who have been led to believe that a rich man will fall in love with them. That's the job of their mom. They should be able to watch that stuff, but their mothers should be the one to tell them, hey, this is a fantasy, right? Just like men should be raising their sons and teach them like, yeah, you going up there and be like, and the girl's like, oh my God, you're so cute. Like, that's not realistic either. That's not gonna happen. If you're ugly as shit, it's a nice dream. You're still gonna have those dreams that someone really pretty falls in love with you and just worships you, and that's not real. If you're ugly as fuck, choose someone else who's ugly as fuck as well. Maybe that could happen. Is it possible that you could find someone way more attractive than you? Sure, but don't lie to people. Don't tell your, children with half their face missing, you're so beautiful and anybody would love to fall in love with you. Like, you don't beat them down, but also don't gas them up to the point where it's destructive if they go out there and the reality doesn't match.
Well, there are those people who are like that, unfortunately. I've seen them. My opinion, I think a little reality is good for the people. Remember how us guys thought most women were Disney princesses until we hit past the 20s, or when they turn off the beauty filter. I'm just saying, then they realize what women actually look like.
What you raise them to believe is out there. You know what I mean? That's not helping. Doesn't mean you love them any less. And I think that's the important thing. It starts from home and it is the responsibility of the parents. This guy continues saying
but do you think parents are parenting
authorities are looking to regulate a specific type of internet or TV drama that romanticizes extremely wealthy business leaders like CEOs and promotes unrealistic billionaire meets ordinary girl storylines. The government is why are elbows never mind. What? I'm getting distracted. The government is worried certain content promotes unhealthy values of wealth worship, materialism, and unrealistic relationship goals. Kind of sounds like the Chinese government themselves when it comes to taking over the rest of the world.
That is very
y'all
true.
Are doing the same thing. But anyway,
you're not wrong on that one.
Money worship, preventing young people, especially women, from chasing delusional fantasies of marrying rich people and OF accounts and all of that. I understand all of that. And on the surface, those are good things. I do think that is something that is destructive towards society. You want to promote more positive or realistic values. But the root issue that's driving the popularity of these exact tropes that you're trying to ban or censor, they're not being addressed. There is like vast economic inequality in China. I mean, it's very hard for people to even own houses over there. There's these intense job competitions. A lot of the youth is unemployed. I mean, China tries to make it seem as though, our country is beautiful and it's perfect. No country is perfect.
Of course.
No country is perfect. And this is happening all around the world, by the way. It's not just China, but the people are told, don't say anything bad about the country. You have issues. I remember there was this video where
she's wrong on the housing.
Stressed.
Oh, is she? Is she actually wrong on the housing part?
Out on the train. She was being interviewed on those rare.
Well, to be honest, like at least from like the video that we saw or so from like the fast food thing or so, as someone who's like who doesn't live at in China or anything like that, I'm like, you guys have some pretty cheap ass food. Like, I'm not gonna lie, There are no homeless people in China. They are all subsidized by the government. It's like Singapore right now. Subsidized? What do you mean by subsidized? I don't know what that word means. It's the first time hearing that.
Cases they interview people, and she's saying,
they
haven't helped my family. The government said they were gonna send this, and my children, blah blah blah. She started talking, and the news guy was like, yeah, anyway, blah blah blah, and he's just like completely cut her off. They don't hear the people. Anybody who starts to say anything bad, and I've listened to expats who live in China, who had to actually move back to the state or their countries, say that, yeah, if you even criticize the government, even if it's warranted, don't be surprised if the cops show up at your door to re-educate you or ask you, hey, you good? You've been saying stuff about the country. Yeah, but you guys are doing this to the people. Yeah. Are you good though? Like, are we though? Like, that's the kind of energy. And there's many things where people, they try to hide it, but there's so many videos that pop up that circulate, and then China tries to bury it. And it's like, dude, that is crazy. North Korea much. The reason why people are looking for these things in the first place is because there is a niche for it. There is a demand for it. The other thing that happens is apparently there's a stigma in China about the leftover woman, or, you know, bride price expectations and the whole stress with marriage. And yeah, I can understand why men and women are like, I need to get out of here. What Chinese men have started doing now is going to Africa to find their wives there, because I think—
What the fuck? Wait, hold on a second. What? Excuse me? Well, it's because, like, it's a thing or so in China or so, when you hit 30, when the women hit 30 or so, they're not worth dating or reproducing kids with them. So that's why they only go for the younger women to date and reproduce. Where the fuck are you getting this information from, that they're going to Africa to get— what?
What Chinese men have started doing now is going to Africa to find their wives there, because I think their cultures are kind of similar when the work and the discipline and family oriented. So there's certain African countries where a lot of Chinese men are leaving to go find wives in Africa. And the African wives are just like, all right, I guess. And they're not like ultra feminized, they're not in these little small areas in these African countries.
Because I did hear my Singapore friend mention that
they're not influenced by the expectation of, hey, this bride price needs to be this, and this, my husband, we need to be equal, and blah, blah, blah. The Chinese husband's like, I need you to cook for me, help me with my business, we work together, we both work the farm. Yes, dear. That's from their own mouths why they're going over there. So they're actually leaving China to do that. And I don't know, I think women are also leaving as well. Like, you have half the population leaving. Nobody talks about that. Like, the declining population is also due to a lot of people flocking to America to get better opportunities. And instead of providing more opportunities and even motivation for people to have children, you cut down and you slam down things that really aren't important and fixing the root issue of what's going on to drive people further away. Oh my God, our people are leaving. How do we get them to stay? How do we get them to be interested in sex and marriage? Take away the things that would make them, like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So yeah, I don't think that will work. And everybody thinks that this is crazy. Unless they're a shill for China. See, the people are even saying the same thing here. Frankly, Chinese censorship feels like watching a game of whack-a-mole. It has become entertainment in its own right. Not sure that is the point the censorship groups are aiming for. Another said, I think there's a reason these dramas are so popular. People want a fantasy to escape to when they're facing economic hardship. It's not just women, it's men as well. And you took away the escapism that men have too.
Yeah, but like, guys don't really watch drama shows. Drama shows are usually more catered to women. It's like a telenovela. Telenovelas are basically more for like female audiences. That's mostly a female audiences kind of thing. Like soap operas, same thing as well. It's for females. You know, it's not really a guy type of thing that they watch.
And if it's something that doesn't affect you, then whatever, but they start with one thing and then come for a bunch of things afterwards. And neither of those things fix the issue. If you don't want a bunch of Bonnie Blues around, why don't you crack down on, you know, prostitution or whatever, if that's really the case, because you're worried about minors being affected. But if you start to nickel and dime or cut every single aspect of escapism or media that the people ingest, and then there's nothing left, they're gonna find something else offensive after this. Watch, there's gonna be something else.
Subject here.
Everyone's initially like, yes, that's wonderful, until they find something else that's offensive.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Nobody else universally would find offensive.
Use your little
the
noggin for a
government
little bit.
does. Like banning freaking Winnie the Pooh because people were saying that the dude looked like Winnie the Pooh, which he kind of does. And so people also use that as a means to kind of defy their government or their leader. And just like people in America are able to do that here to the point where it's extremely distasteful, like that crazy sociopath who showed a picture of her beheading the POTUS, which was really disgusting. Here, you can't even use a little bear. They're like, no, that's too much. No, If you're online, you're making fun of me, you're not allowed to do that. So, what a wonderful place to live. So, what do you guys think about this? Do you think this is a step in the right direction? I know that this story is very old, but it has recently propped back up. So, I wonder if this is going to, after it's thoroughly enforced, going to be successful in stopping them old gooners now. And if it's one thing we've learned about human
I think
design,
to some degree, at least to the normie people that can't get access to like the black market, which is like, you know, getting access to like, you know, the PORN, the you know, maybe this will probably be part of that specifically as well, and whatever other specific things that are pretty much banned.
especially with what happened with prohibition, is that if humans want something, they figure out a way to taste it. And you making that more annoying for them ends up unfortunately having the opposite effect of giving them more of a motivation and taking it as a challenge to get it, making it rarer and thus making it more sought after. Ergo, you create a much bigger problem than the one you started out with trying to...
Yeah, but then at the same time, the problem is like they're trying to do this or so some girls doesn't have unrealistic expectations, you know. And unfortunately, there are people who actually are delulu. Unfortunately, there are some women who do think that, you know, some rich guy or something or some handsome guy is gonna whisk them away from their problems. It's just kind of like how it is, and that's why they watch some of these shows, you know. It's like what is it? What's the best comparison or so? I guess I can say like the best comparison is like, you know how like some guys or so, specifically in the anime community, would watch rom-coms. Like they'll watch rom-coms, right? Like the love stuff and everything. And they always wish to have that specific thing in general. You know, but unfortunately some of them do take it a little bit far and they go a little bit delulu, and then there's some people who don't, right? Like I said, right? It's the same thing with this sort of nature with the drama shows, right? It's catering towards the women or so who are having these weird expectations of thinking, oh, my prince in knight shining armor is going to come and whisk me away from my financial problems and my statuses, and I'll become a very rich Chinese girl with my beautiful husband living on the 25th floor of a super high-rise building, you know. And it's just kind of like, all right, Princess Sherlock, all right, get the fuck back down to reality, okay? All right, that's not going to happen, okay? Like that's just the thing itself. I'm like, I don't know. For me personally, it's just kind of like, you know, we'll see what happens, you know. But they'll definitely find a way. They'll find a will and a way to bypass it somehow. But it's not going to be a lot of people that are going to be able to bypass it. It's just going to be a few. But I think just the drama show are getting like regulated or so specifically to just kind of like lower your expectations. Who knows? Maybe they might have a message or something before the maybe before the TV show starts to be like, hey, this is all a work of fiction or so, nothing is real. So if you're trying to think that, you know, you're gonna get a relationship just like this in the show or so, be realistic. It's not gonna happen to you, you know. Maybe they could do something like that. Maybe they'll make an announcement. Maybe they'll do something else. I have no fucking idea, to be honest. Like anything of that sort of nature, they'll try to find a way, you know. We'll see. But yeah, China will solve gooning, maybe, probably, who knows. That's just my personal opinion, and that's the end of the video. And peace.